Welcome back to another episode of Bassin with Captain Lou. Guys, I know it's been a minute. My apologies. I have been trying to shoot this video now for 2 weeks. And because of this crazy heat, I have not been able to give you guys a video. Reason for it is because my camera keeps overheating and I keep losing all this awesome footage. But today is a little different. Today is a very special video. The camera's still overheated, but I did manage to capture some good shots and also capture a monster. As you guys could see in that intro, stick around because today's video, it's all about frog sizes. So before I continue with the video, I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers, new and old. Reason for it is because the channel finally went over 1,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, and for that we are very thankful. I still got a lot of work to do on the channel, but hey, we hit the 1,000 mark and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you guys, so thank you so much. So when it comes to choosing a hollow body frog, if you're first getting started, it can be a little intimidating. The reason for it is because you got this size of frog, this size of frog, this size of frog. I mean, there are so many sizes of frogs that it can be overwhelming for somebody who's just getting started. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a deep dive in regards to frog sizes, which frogs you should be focusing on, and then give you guys the pros and cons of each individual frog size as well as an explanation. And if you stay to the end of this video, I'm going to go ahead and share with you the #1 size frog that I like to fish, and show you the size of fish that I caught in the beginning of my intro. That was a monster. So if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to show you how big that bass was and also which frog I caught it on because it's my favorite size. So when it comes to frog sizes come in 4 general sizes. They come in 45, 55, 65, and all the way up to 90. What do those numbers mean? Basically what those numbers are, they mean millimeters. So for example, here I'm holding as an example a 55. This is a live target frog. It's an LT55. So what does that mean? It's 55 millimeters, or it's about 2¼ inches long. In my other hand over here, I have an LT65. What does that mean? As you guessed it, 65 millimeters or 2 5/8 of an inch. So now that I got the sizes out of the way, each of these sizes, for example, the 55 weighs a lot different than a 65. Reason for it is because it's a much bigger frog. As you guys can see here, see the size differences? This is a much bigger profile. It has a lot more weight to it than this frog. So does that make a difference? Absolutely, but I'll share with you guys that information a little bit later on in the video. So first frog up to bat, the 55 size frog. Okay, like I mentioned, this is a live target. Spro also comes in a 55 series, and all other brands of frogs come in a 55 series. And like I mentioned, that's basically a frog that's about 2¼ inches in length, and in weight, it's not a heavy frog, but it's not a light frog. This type of frog is like what I call the beginner frog. I learned frog fishing on this size of frog. Reason for it is because it's not heavy, it's not light, and it's a perfect size. And the reason why it's a perfect size is because if you watch most bait fish that are swimming around, most bait fish are usually around this profile size. So I like it because this size right here gives you a rough idea of a bass's mood. Meaning if you throw this guy out and within a matter of 10 to 15 minutes you're getting strikes or you're getting blow-ups on this particular frog, then it's a very good indicator that it's a frog fishing day. Now, the disadvantage of this particular size frog, of the 55 size frog, is its actual size, believe it or not, when it comes to big bass. Big bass meaning north of 6 pounds. Why is that? Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to catch 6 pounds bass with this size. I personally did last week, and that's part of the footage that I lost, but I did catch a beautiful 6-pound bass on this 55 size. But the reason why it's a disadvantage is because when you guys see a big bass's mouth, it's cavernous. It's like this. It's like a softball size. And what happens is this little frog sometimes can get lost inside that cavernous mouth. And when the bass comes up and blows up on it or sucks it down, it's so cavernous that sometimes when you go set the hook, you completely miss the bass altogether because it's a small frog, but because it's a small frog, it has small hooks. So that could be a disadvantage to this particular size. Another disadvantage of the 55 size is if you're fishing slop, like slop behind me, this frog right here, it's a good size, but the profile size in dense vegetation it could get lost in the vegetation and the bass can't really find it. I mean, he'll try to blow up on it, but if you have a bigger frog, it may aid you in catching that bass in the thicker vegetation. Now the next size. The next size is the 65. This happens to be another live target, 65. This is 65 millimeters. Like I mentioned, it's 2 5/8 inches long. This category of frog, it's a much bigger profile. It offers much bigger hooks, and it also has a little bit more weight to it. And the reason and the benefit of this heavier weight is that you could throw this frog a lot farther. You could throw it a lot farther, and plus, because of its weight, it sits better inside of vegetation, meaning it'll sit a little bit deeper inside the vegetation. It'll also gives off a much larger profile, gives off a lot more noise. So when a bass is looking for this frog in denser vegetation, this particular size yields itself well to be found. Now, the next size of frog, and this is the big daddy. This is the big boy of frogs. This guy right here, it is the 90 size. This frog right here is huge. This frog right here is 90 millimeters. Basically, it's 3 inches long and it weighs 1 ounce. This boy right here packs a punch. If you're looking to go catch and focus on just going after big bass, then this guy right here is the one that I would recommend. But if you're a beginner when it comes to frog fishing, I would not recommend fishing with such a big frog to start off with. One, you don't have the experience yet to read when it's going to be a proper frog fishing application. Two, it's the weight. This thing does pack a punch. If you don't have the right rod, it will break your rod tip. And number three, if you don't have the hook setting mechanics down yet, if you're a beginner, this frog will make it challenging for you. So I do not recommend for a beginner throwing this size of frog. And the last size of frog, it is the 45 millimeter size. That is about 1 inch, 1 3/4 inch. I don't even have one with me because I don't throw that size. That size of a frog is way too small for my personal preference, but I did want to tell you guys that there is smaller frogs. What are the advantage of the smaller frog, for example? The quick advantage of a much smaller frog is if you're in a body of water that's known for little bass, but you want to catch the biggest little bass, I would strongly recommend that you throw that smaller frog because you will catch the biggest of the smallest frogs. Now, will you be able to land a much bigger bass with a very small frog? Absolutely. But you're going to come across the same problem like I told you guys about the 55 size, meaning the bass's mouth is so cavernous that you run the risk of missing the bass because the bass's mouth is so big that that small frog will not be able to hook into. You'll miss inside that big old mouth of that bass if you fish with a 45 size. Now, the advantages of fishing with bigger frogs. Now I'm going to start talking to you guys specifically about the 65 size. As you guys mentioned, this is a live target. I also have here a Spro 65, okay? So you guys could see comparisons. They're more or less the same size. The profiles are slightly different, okay? But they're in the same family of sizes. And the reason why I like going with a 65 size is because of this right here. This right here is what helps me right here. These are very big hooks. And when tangling and fishing with a very big bass or coming across very big bass, I want to have the chances on my side and increasing that hookup. And I have that chance when I'm using bigger hooks. Now, please don't misunderstand me. You will catch big bass on smaller frogs. It's very possible. I do it often. But when it comes to confidence, when it comes to reeling down on a bass and sticking them, my confidence is a lot higher when I'm fishing with a 65 size frog. All right, thank you guys for staying till the end of this video. Check out this bass catch. Check out how big this bass was. And also, I'm going to explain to you why the frog that I used on that particular bass is my favorite size. Stick around and enjoy this catch. This is a tank. This is a tank. Look at this fish right here, folks. Look at this beautiful freaking fish. Let's weigh this beauty. £7 pounds, 3 ounces. And that one, my friends, is on a 65 size frog. Wasn't that a beautiful fish? That fish was awesome. And like I mentioned, my favorite size or my favorite type of frog to be fishing overall is the 65 size frog. The reason for it is because it's like a very well-rounded size. It has the perfect profile, the perfect length, and the perfect weight. I could throw this frog a very long distance. It has excellent hook sizes, and again, like I mentioned, the profile is magnificent, and it imitates a lot of the forage here. It imitates a lot of big brim. I think that's why that big old 7-pound bass smashed this frog, is because he thought it was a brim that got away from the cover, and the way he hit was unbelievable. Thank you guys for staying till the end of this video. I really appreciate it. Like this video, share this video, better yet subscribe. As you guys could see, the channel is growing. I really appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys want to learn how to figure out the bass bite when it comes to frog fishing, check out this video right here. I think it's going to tie in very well with this video. I will see you guys again soon. Take care of yourselves.